meeting is being recorded.
Greetings from Bangkok, Thailand, and welcome to 30 Minutes Promoting Unity in Diversity with Wani Angerer in Moving Cultures. Today we are holding the pause that celebrates International Women's Day 2022, and we are ready to say no to injustice, to say no to discrimination, to say no to racism, and to say no to stereotypes or any kind of negativity around our life that does not allow us to be part of a global family. Our guest today is a woman that is on the top lead position of marketing and advertising. And I have to tell you that she has understood the power of culture into her business. And she also has understood the power of women and everyone in her surroundings to make her a better person. Her name is Megha Mili is the second one, Dutta. And she is our guest number 195 of this series. So with no more time to lose, we have to welcome her to this conversation. Megha, how are you? Welcome.
Wani, I'm so good, and it's so good to see you again, although electronically, but this makes our world a smaller place. So I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you, Megha, for taking the opportunity and your time to be with us and celebrate womanhood and celebrate culture and diversity. We are going to start the conversation asking you, who are you? Who is Megha Mili Dutta?
I have a lot of roles in my life. First and foremost, I'm a mother to a 6-year-old child. I'm a wife to a very loving husband. He's a very supportive husband, and I wish more women have husbands like him. I'm also the daughter of my parents. My mother is an artist. My father is a very practical businessman, and I am almost a confluence of both of them. I'm Indian by origin, but I've been in Kenya for the last 9 years. And I'm so glad that I moved out and I saw the world, because I have been welcomed into another part of the world, and I'm so much richer for it. I love Kenya with all my heart. And once I had my child, I decided I was going to stay in Kenya for a longer period of time. I've also spent almost 22 years in advertising, and I am the executive creative director of JWT Kenya. And yeah, pretty much that's my short introduction. I'm the only female executive creative director in East Africa, I think. And it's not something that I'm really proud of. It's something that every day I wish there were more of us, and I'm working towards that.
Megha, it's great to hear that you really are in a position to use your power to transform communities and to transform points of view of other people. Talk to us about that experience of climbing step by step, with hard work and with understanding into a leading position in your field of work.
Yeah. Vani, advertising has always been a little bit of a boys' club. And I started in advertising at a time when it really was a very male-dominated. But however, advertising is one of those careers where, because you have a different client, a different product every day, you need lived experiences of many different people. You need the point of view of many different people in order to make your advertising part of the popular culture of the country that you're practicing advertising in. Which is why I think, because I had a voice, because I am a child of so much diversity. I was born in Calcutta. I was raised in a small town called Jamshedpur in the east of India. I moved to Delhi. I spent a whole lot of my life in Delhi. I was married in another culture. So, because I had so many cultural confluences, it was easy for me to find my niche in advertising. But yes, it wasn't very easy. And then came motherhood, where I thought maybe it is a time to take a break. Should I take a break? Should I not take a break? How is it going to be? Advertising has no set 9 to 5 timings. It's very exacting on women. You have to go for shoots, you have to go for meetings. And then I decided, no, I'm not going to give up my career just because I'm a mother. And I decided to carry on. I was back to work when my child was just 8 months old.
Oh.
And I must say that I found great organizational help for me to continue working. I asked for help. I told people that I need to destigmatize flexible timings. And so I can continue without the stigma of, oh, you're going home early. I said, as long as I'm finishing my work, I do not want any stigma around flexible timings because I am a mother, but I'm also a very competent advertising person. And yeah, so I have a lot of support. So for young mothers, I would say, please ask your organization for help. Don't quit. I've seen it in advertising and I've seen it in all the industry. It's not that we're not well represented. We're well represented at the bottom, but right in the middle of the careers, when women sort of get married, have children, they drop off. So what happens is they don't go to the top. And if you
Mhm.
can just hold on in the middle, ask your organizations, ask your family to help you not quit. We would see many more women at the top.
Megha, you have mentioned a very important issue that is related to the organization culture. And also
Yeah.
you've been working very dynamically in the culture of your work, of your field, because that's completely different situation. Can you explain to people what it means, the culture at the organizational level, and also culture in the way you are leading your position?
Right. So, Vani, I think, like I said, I don't think industries have representation problem. If you see the starting point of most industries, whether it is banking, advertising, tech, sports, everything, when people first start off and they're young, it's quite well represented between men and women. It's only when they go ahead, and it's only when they start becoming mothers and have families that they start you know giving their career second priority, and then
Mhm.
they drop off. The problem is that the organizations do not bat an eyelid when women drop off from the middle. They are not taking notice of why this is happening. And the solutions to that are so simple. One, you first take notice that women are dropping off in the middle of their careers. Second, ask why. What can we do to help? Can we destigmatize flexible hours? Can we offer an option to work from home? COVID has made it so easy for any organization to visualize how easy it is for people to work from home. Three,
Mhm.
is there childcare support that can be extended to mothers? And small these very small changes will make it a culture where we encourage women to talk about their problems, battle their whatever their constraints are in being at work. And if a woman chooses to fully explore her motherhood and be a housewife, no problem. But
Mhm.
in case she is choosing to let go of her career only because she doesn't think that she'll manage, let the organizations come together and help.
Mhm. Megha, when you became a mother, do you have knowledge of the experiences you will have as a person, because I think it's a complete different universe. And I see I'm a mother as well, but I think everyone take it in a different way.
You know, Vani, that's a really interesting question because I was lucky. I had a child quite late in life. I was already 32 when I had my 33 almost when I had my child. So I had come to a place in my career where I could ask for things. You know, I was not somebody who was so young and still making my footing in career. But I am very cognizant of the fact that people who are younger, people who have children at 23, 24, maybe they feel that they're not in the place in their career to ask for things, you know, to make demands. They feel like if I make demands, they'll just think that I am too sort of ill fit for this career choice. But I have understood that what you need to do is make yourself heard. Every industry will have one woman, two women at the top. Make them your mentors. Go and have a candid conversation. And that's exactly what I did. I'm very lucky to have a mentor in my career. Her name is Swati Bhattacharya. And I asked her and I told her that this is what I'm facing. I do not want to let go. I want to continue working. And she said exactly what I'm telling you. Ask
You,
your organization, get a mentor.
you have transformed your view from coming from a diverse Indian background that is multicultural, that is multilinguistic, that is so rich in different aesthetic elements. I was writing to you earlier, that I admire your sense of aesthetics, and understanding and appreciation of beauty. And then you move to Kenya that has completely different standards. It's also rich in cultures, it's multicultural, beauty is all around, but they're very different. How do you cope with that contrast?
You know, Manny, I think if you see it myopically, yes, between Indian culture and Kenyan culture, there are lots of dissimilarities. But the more you are able to pull out and see the bigger picture, you'll see that we are so similar in so many ways. Indians have a love of food and dance and singing. So do Kenyans. We are Indians are very, very invested in their children, and so are Kenyans. Kenyan mothers are some of the best, most wholesome mothers. If you see in India, women are very enterprising, they're hardworking, and so it is in Kenya. So I found by living here for a longer time, um, I found much, much more similarities in Kenyan culture and Indian culture than differences. And well, the only big difference is the air quality. There is almost no pollution.
Megan, just talking now about the connections, and understanding yourself as a multicultural person and understanding the world as a space to have opportunities that sometimes are not visible for a lot of people. And sometimes they have this dream of doing or reaching somewhere, but at the end of the day, it's a very simple formula, I believe, that is actually connect with your inner self, be completely sure who you are, and then portray that to the world. What is your opinion about this situation?
I am in 100% agreement with you. You know, Annie, the world that we're living in today, I think the more open you are as a person, the faster you will have clarity about who you are, where do you belong, and what is your purpose in life. You know, the fact that you mentioned that I come from India, In India, because we're packed to the rafters with so much diversity, there's so many languages, so much differences in food. Every part, every area of India is packed with diversity, ethnic diversity, religious diversity, language diversity, cultural, food, music, dance. So I feel, which is why for me as an Indian, I feel at home no matter where I am in the world. So even when I came to Kenya, I think it is because of exposure to diversity, which makes you open. It completely opens your body, mind, soul to accepting people, cultures, and being at peace and still finding your own groove. So I feel for countries that are not so diverse, I would encourage individuals to go steep themselves in that diversity. Because once you do that, you're now a global citizen. Every opportunity, no matter where it is in the world, is open to you because you'll feel at home anywhere in the world.
You mentioned your mentor. What can you remember about your childhood and the role models from your family, like your mother, who is very engaged in community work, and your grandmother, or any other members of your family who make you the person you are today?
Very good question again. I think when I think of it, and I find such a disconnect with the world, you know, when we talk about our family tree, we only talk about our paternal, in India at least, we only talk about our paternal ancestry. Whereas I have felt that the maximum impact in my life has been because of my maternal ancestry. You know, my mother and my grandmother were so pivotal in shaping how I think. My grandmother is at that time when she had three little children. She did a double MA and a B.Ed while cooking and putting a child to sleep and being in a joint family and being responsible for at least 12 family members. And she did it out of thorough grit, you know. She has the kind of native intelligence that I wish even in 2022 I have. She can understand fully well the structure of the importance of women's role in families. And I think that is what has been passed down to me. And while I understand how important women's role is in the family, I also understand the society as an extension of the family. So if you can understand that you're important to your family, you should also understand to take it one step ahead and be important to your community and your society. And that is what I've learned from my grandmother and my mother.
And I think that's very clear on the way you are running your profession, Megha. I met you and I could sense, that international and global flair on you, and also the sensibility and sensitivity connecting with other people that not necessarily is close to you. And I think when you're doing branding and you are practically trying to sell a product to a global community, I think that's a key element. Tell me, how is the situation? How do you approach this kind of work?
You know, Vani, advertising can either lead to the creation of stereotypes, and advertising has been responsible for so many stereotypes, like the detergent mom, the mom who is collecting clothes from everywhere and just washing, 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 or the diaper dad, the father who just cannot change a diaper to save his life, or the women who cannot drive, or the women who are just at a bar for an alcohol commercial, but their only role is to smile, or this complete disregard of women in technology and sports ads. So advertising has created a lot of these stereotypes. But I feel now in 2022, I'm happy to say that advertising is also undoing a lot of its wrongs. It's also breaking down stereotypes. And I think going forward, now that we have an idea of how much harm stereotypes can create, and it's not just 30 seconds of an ad, it can impact women for generations and have generational damage. Advertising, thankfully, is becoming more responsible. I personally am undergoing one campaign right now that talks about these stereotypes and try to break down these stereotypes. So I think even for advertising, I am very, very aware that we have a responsibility to showcase. And when we put out things into popular culture, we understand that popular culture then determines how people behave towards genders and other cultures.
What is your position regarding to climate change and the sustainable development objects they have to be followed for the Agenda 2030 to make the world a better place to live? Because you just mentioned the quality of the air in Kenya
Yeah.
compared with the quality of the air in India. What is your
Yeah.
position, Megha?
I think it would be a little bit of a hypocrisy because I am in advertising and I sincerely do believe that um, for what we can do for climate change environment is to have a perspective about our consumerism. I think we're becoming too fast of a consumerist market, whether it be changing trends. And I know advertising is responsible for a lot of these trends, whether it's clothing, whether it's food, whether it's traveling. This pressure that we have on ourselves that variety is the name of the game. We must travel 6 times a year. We must keep up with clothing trends. We must go to that new restaurant, try that new menu. And I think that is what this space is what is leading to so much wastage, so much environmental impact. And I think what we can do as advertising to counteract this, when we put out trends into the world, we also must do the education of how too much consumerism impacts the environment, and so to encourage that balance.
Mm-hmm. Megha, you work with very big companies like Pepsi and Unilever, and just to mention a few. How do you see the behavior of these companies related with climate change? Do you feel there are some changes taking place?
I think so. When
Mm-hmm.
I must agree that large companies do have a very, very solid understanding of what it requires to do climate change. Earlier, even about 10 years back, I would say all companies would tick the CSR box by saying, oh, let's do tree plantation. You know, we'll just
Mm-hmm.
go and
Mm-hmm.
plant some trees, and that will be our contribution to the environment. I think there has been so much work done with large industries to now make them understand that tree planting is not the answer. Um, it actually can harm the environment because you're planting random trees without their habitat. That tree you've planted will not grow. It will not even see 1 year of its life because sufficient work hasn't gone in. You're eroding. I've seen it in Kenya also, that tree plantation is about planting trees where the habitat has been eroded, not going to Karura forest and planting roses. Those roses will die because it's not their environment. And Karura forest does not need replantation.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and and I'm not, and I have this knowledge because we were invited to um, a bank which wants to clear up these things about the environment, about tree plantation, and wants to make a meaningful impact in climate change. So yes, a lot of companies are very, very cognizant about what they must do for the environment. And I think slowly but steadily we'll get there.
You also mentioned the support you received from your partner, your husband. What can you say about the role of men in the society in constructive masculinity? Because we keep working toward a more equitable society, you know, where, like you say, advertising also does a great job, you know, either constructing or destructing behavior. What can you tell us about that specific topic?
Vani, let me tell you a story first. When my child was 4 years old, it was for an advertising project that we did a little experiment with him. So we called him and we said, listen, Bir, if you wanted food, who would you ask, Mama or Papa? He said, Mama. If you were to comb your hair, who would you ask? Mama. If your toy breaks and you want it repaired, who would you ask? Papa. If you wanted to go for a drive, who would you ask? Papa. And let's understand the clincher. So if you were hurt and you wanted somebody to make it better, who would you ask? Mama. And if you wanted money, who would you ask? Papa. I would imagine, Dani, that I live in a nuclear family, just Dipesh, me and him, and our nanny and our housekeeper. And we are at the far end of what we call an equitable household, where my husband drops him to school, I pick him up from school, both of us work, both of us go for meetings, both of us have an equal participation in the household budget. And yet, there is a 4-year-old child who has such a distinct gender bias on what households are about. And I was so disturbed, Fanny. I was like, how did that happen? So for the last 2 years, I have made it a point that even if for nothing, he knows that the tooth fairy is me. It is my wallet that gives him the money. I drive him around Spring Valley for no good reason. I make Dipesh wash dishes and cook food and bake cakes with him every single weekend. So that I want to do this test with him again when he's 7 years old. And I want him to be completely confused in his answers so that he has no clarity about what are gender roles in our household. So yeah, it is so important.
But it's amazing, you know, like how clear you have established the situation that we are facing globally in about gender perceptions, you know, and it's not only the way things are run in your home. It's everything he's exposed out, because he spent time with your grandmother and probably spent time with friends at home, and also time with at school or with other kids, you know, and it's observation. Don't you think that that's exactly what we are talking, the visuals?
Yes, totally. Yeah. I completely agree, Fanny, but there is no way I can go out and change the whole world, but I will change my home. And if more people think like that, the world will slowly, slowly change. Change what you can. Even if it's one little thing, just do it. Don't think about, oh, but I can make this change, but it's out there in the world. He sees it in school. Yes, he will see it in school, but start the change. Any little thing that we can change about this definition of gender roles, we must, because it's been decades and generations upon generation. This has to be the last generation that carries that pressure of living up to their gender role and not their human role in the world.
Megan, I have some images that I posted on our event in Facebook, and I'm going to get there so we can talk a little bit. You know, this image is very powerful, and like as I mentioned, wait just a moment, let me get back to the screen. Yeah, here we go. And as I mentioned, you are very much into aesthetics and in the understanding of beauty, but I know you're a very conscious person about beauty, because I'm also the same, that it's about understanding the origin of the piece, who is the person behind the elaboration of this piece, and what is the message that you want to deliver. It's very interesting that in this photo, you and myself, we are wearing pieces. They are practically evolution of a traditional expression. You know, this is like mine is like a Maasai necklace that I designed with a local jewelry artist in Kenya, and in brass and with some designs on it and the bracelet, and the same with you. So tell me, how do you understand the perception of craft and beauty in design?
I think it is so coded in you. At least in me, it is almost like a genetic coding, you know, Vanny. I think my earliest memories of aesthetics are, if I close my eyes, I can see it so clearly still. Um, my mother used to be a person who, I think she still is. She's very fashion forward, and she can, blend traditional and modern fashion so well together. And I used to see her in the mirror as she used to get dressed, and I saw how effortlessly she used to wear her saris and still come across so modern and so, that whole understanding of what goes with what was so inbuilt in her. So I think for me, I feel like the Indian culture is so rich in ornamentation, and I I see this very often with my friends, that they keep all their gold in lockers and wear them occasionally once in a while. I don't do that. And I wear my wedding jewelry with jeans and with dresses, and this is a kundan necklace, and apparently it's only supposed to be worn with saris, etc. But no, I feel like we can take a part of our culture everywhere we go, and if we don't represent our cultural nuances, our cultural ornamentation, who will? And what is a better time? You've seen
Exactly.
with COVID, any day can be your last, so wear your best jewelry.
Now from design, we're going to move you to your mentorship programs in work. Can you tell us very quickly what's happening here, Megha?
Okay, so I must give credit to Eabl. Eabl is East Africa Breweries. They're part of Diageo, and they are very, very, very involved in a progressive gender portrayal within the Diageo world. They're very serious about it. They have implemented it within their offices, within the farmers, within their suppliers, within the agencies that they work in. They've almost made it mandatory that every process of their product and marketing will have a progressive gender portrayal. Not just gender, they want progressive portrayals, period. Whether it's gender, having people, having women behind the camera, which Kenya has never seen. They've never seen a women camera person or a women advertising film director. They've insisted on those things. Women photographers, they have had people who are handicapped from various tribes, representation of every gender, of every margin, of every minority in their processes. And I give kudos to Eabl. And I thank them for making me part of this panel so I could mentor women into advertising, and I could solve their problems, the problems that I had and Swati solved for me, um, of how to stay on and how to rise right to the top of your industry.
Right. I'm going to pass some other images that are also related to your mentorship and participation in media. Here you are also in an interview. The same here, and then we're going to move once again to this collection that you were modeling. It was very impressed, how simple but how beautiful, and again, design is so powerful in this collection. What can you tell us about this, Megha?
Yeah, so this is a collection by a friend of mine. Her name is Ikta, and her company is called My Soul Tonic. Uh, she hand makes this jewelry. She's an Indian girl working with Kenyan artisans to make a new collection every year. And she has taken a really beautiful blend of Kenyan minimalism and Indian maximalism and put it together in a beautiful collection. I think I would encourage all your viewers to go and see her page, and she has some really spectacular works of art. And the amount of pure effort and love that she puts into her label is just a thing to be seen. She started from scratch. I've seen
Mhm.
her start from a little room, and now she's just expanded. Her business is represented in so many stores in Kenya now.
Very beautiful, and it's very powerful. Now we're going to get back to the Indian culture and their elements. As we see here in this picture of you, it say it all, it's like the grace, the color, the comfort, the confidence. And this is one of the things I really admire during my time living in India. Wake up every day, and it didn't matter who, and from which social background. You see these women so proud of wearing their traditional outfits, and going to work colorful, and also very authentic. What is your position about traditional outfits and wearing it in a regular? You said about your mother, like without any kind of efforts.
Yeah. You know, when one thing that I'm really sad about today's fashion is it is a fashion of homogeneity. It seems like trends exist to make everyone look like everyone else. So if I see young people on the street, everybody has a hoodie, everybody has a track band, everybody has a sling bag, everybody has some amount of piercings, etc.
Mhm.
Really, fashion is about expression. And I cannot believe that a whole generation of women have the same expression. It can't be. So I feel that instead of chasing that goal of homogeneity, I think wouldn't it be better if we all expressed our expression through fashion instead of hiding behind this homogeneity? We come out and proud of our cultures, our attires, our ornamentation, and give a nod. I do it because I want to give a nod to my Indian roots, those roots from which I have branched out. So
Mhm.
the fruit should give a nod to the root, and that's why I do it. And I'm so comfortable. You ask me to go to office in a sari, stay a whole day in a sari. I have I have zero problems doing it because I'm so comfortable. I can even run a race in a sari. I have no problem.
Fantastic. Okay. We are already reached the 30 minutes of our conversation, Megha. It's been a great pleasure connecting with you again. I feel like I am with you talking in the little corner at Mandy's place. And I really celebrate your achievements. Thank you so much for promoting unity and diversity. I'm sending you this virtual embrace and also this symbol of unity and diversity and saying no to any kind of discrimination, stereotypes, and exclusion. Please keep bringing light to yourself and to the life of others. And thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your journey, your experiences, and your philosophy of life. Thank you, Megha.
Thank you, Vanny. Thank you.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.